Hi everyone, and welcome to Billy Fitzgerald Golf. And tonight I want to go over a topic that many of us have heard and probably even worked on, which is clearing your hips or rotating your hips through the strike. Now, this does happen in the golf swing, but if we wildly do it, it can destroy your golf swing more than it can help it. So tonight I've got a little workstation. We've got our target line, we've got our stance line, and I've got this pool noodle, which is going to go on the back of my hips. So that's a big line that I teach with. If my hips move into the golf ball, that's early extension. So if we're rotating through the strike and my hips are moving from this pool noodle into the ball, I'm not giving my golf club and my arms enough room to make a correct impact position. So what I mean is, if I get ready to go here, and when I see people rotate through the strike, here's what I see more than anything, or I ask someone to show me what their impact position's like. They do this immediately. So I'm rotating through, but see, my right arm gets on top because my hips are pushing my arm into a position where I don't want to be. I'd like to be, again, we've talked about this with compression, is my right arm on the back of the shaft because that's where it's most stable. Well, if I'm rotating into the golf ball, then that's not possible. So we have to make sure we understand what we're trying to do when you rotate through the strike. Now, I don't disagree that it happens, but sometimes if we're not careful with vocabulary, we can get ourselves into a not very good position. So before we begin, I want to use this putting track so you have a better view or better understanding of how your hips are working through the strike. So if I set this down, this is the middle of my hip. This is my left hip socket, this is my right hip socket. Now when we're moving through the strike, and if we're rotating through the strike, you do not want your right hip to move into the golf ball. That's what I mostly see everyone do when they're trying to rotate through the ball. If my right hip gets here, my arms have nowhere to go. Again, that's why I'm a little blown away that there aren't more topics of rotating through the strike and early extension. In my opinion, they go right along with each other if we're not careful what we're doing. So if I get to the front of this putting track, when you rotate through the strike, it's your left hip pushes away. So as my left hip pushes away, you can see my center pushes away. So my right hip isn't really going very fast. It typically doesn't go any faster than my right elbow. Where again, when most people try to clear their hips, their right hip is going so fast and going into the golf ball, they have no chance of having a correct alignment with their arm in the shaft at the strike. So again, your left hip's gonna move away. That is the correct clearing of your hips. It's not how fast your right hip can go. I promise you that if your right hip goes, the faster your right hip goes, it has almost nothing to do with how fast this golf club is gonna go. It's really not gonna go very fast. So again, if I would set up to my golf ball, and I'm gonna go to impact now. So if I get ready to go, see as my left hip pushes away, my right hip actually moves parallel or towards the target, not into the golf ball. That's the reason my right hip's not moving in, is because my left hip is moving away. So as my left hip moves away, my right hip can go towards the target. I'll do that a couple more times. Left hip pushes away, right hip goes towards the target. Now my right arm has plenty of room to swing and line up with the shaft. So again, as we swing, we'll swing back, transition. Now my left hip pushes away, and that's what puts my hand right on the golf ball. So throughout this video, I want to give you a few tricks to kind of get started on working with your left hip, clearing the right way. And what that left hip does is, as my left hip clears with my right arm, it actually, as I push away, it actually accelerates the golf club, accelerates my arm. That's how we use ground forces to accelerate the club. So let's get right into it by chipping. Now from a face-on view, you can really see how my left hip, Once the club gets right here, I push away and the club can easily go through it. Actually, it makes the face of the club accelerate and it stabilizes the face so there's no twisting. That's usually what happens. See, when my left hip doesn't move, the face passes and it flips. Or, again, if my left hip doesn't move, my right hip moves up into the ball and then it flips. So when you're thinking about clearing, once I get right here, my left hip pushes away so my right hip can work towards the target, not into the ball. So now my arm has plenty of room to match up and get right on the back of the ball. Okay, now for a drill to help us, again, clear our left hip away from the golf ball, not push us into the ball. We're going to go right foot, left foot back. So we're going to get into a position and you're going to pull your left foot back. So your left toe is back by your right heel. Now this will lock my right hip up a little bit. So we're only going to do a half swing. So when we do a practice swing here, left foot back. So as we swing back and swing down, I get into my left foot and I'm pushing away as my arms accelerate through. So back, pushing away as my arms accelerate through. Back, push away as my arms accelerate through. You can see I'm going right into the noodle here. So left foot back, just hit a little one here. So you see as I push away, it accelerates my arms and keeps the club face square. Right foot, left foot back. Okay, so now we're going to hit some full swings, regular stance. And one of the best drills that I can have you do is set your golf bag just behind you, not quite touching, but just behind your hips. So when I swing back, I can constantly feel where my golf bag is. I should be touching it. Once I put this in motion and my hip sockets start working away from the golf ball, I should be able to feel the bag throughout the swing, as if I'm sitting down all the way throughout the swing to make room for my arms, never moving up into and off the bag. So once we get set up here, get my grip, get my stance right. Now again, as I swing back and down, I'm feeling like I'm sitting right back into the bag now. So use this drill. Keep finding where the golf bag is in your backswing to ensure that you're not moving up into the golf ball. I hope this gives you some clarity on clearing your hips. So next time you're out on the golf course or the driving range, we don't just get to the top of the swing and start clearing your hips right into the ball. I hope this gives you an understanding and some logic of what you're doing to play your best golf. Like and subscribe to my channel, Billy Fitzgerald Golf. Want to take a live lesson from me, or you have a question? Visit me at billyfitzgeraldgolf.com. And thanks for watching.